China has just dropped a major bombshell, announcing anti-dumping duties on stainless steel products from 30 countries, with tax rates soaring as high as 103.1% to be implemented for up to 5 years. This is the first major countermeasure China has rolled out to the world in this round of trade tensions. But what's truly interesting, the United States is not on the list. The key products targeted this time are stainless steel billets and hot-rolled coils, items that are heavily traded globally, especially by the European Union, the United Kingdom, South Korea, and Indonesia, all of which rely strongly on these exports. Historically, China has rarely taken the initiative to strike back with such countermeasures. But coincidentally, this comes right at a critical stage in ongoing tariff negotiations between major economies and the Trump administration. So naturally, many analysts believe this move is a clear warning to countries that have been tightening their grip on China, telling them to stop pushing too far. So, why did China suddenly decide to impose these heavy tariffs on 30 countries, and which nations will bear the biggest losses? If you enjoy our content, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our latest updates. Now, let's dive into today's topic. Perhaps you didn't know, China's steel industry has advanced at an astonishing pace. Back in 2018, global stainless steel output stood at about 50.729 million tons, and China alone contributed 26 million tons, surpassing the combined total of Europe and the US. By 2024, that number had surged by about 51.54%, reaching a record-breaking 39.44 million tons. However, high production doesn't automatically mean world-class quality. Products such as ultra-thin stainless steel foil and high-strength spring steel demand extremely precise smelting and processing technology, areas where traditional industrial powers like Europe and South Korea still hold key advantages. Because of that, China has continued to import a large amount of specialized steel from abroad, particularly from Europe. For instance, in 2018, Europe's stainless steel capacity was around 7.385 million tons, yet less than 100,000 tons were exported to China. The main reason? Price differences. At that time, Chinese stainless steel billets cost roughly 2,000 to 3,000 yuan per ton, while similar products from European producers were about 800 yuan higher. With such a gap, it was only natural for Chinese companies to prefer domestic supply. European products, therefore, just lacked price competitiveness. If China's steel industry continued to expand at this rate, European manufacturers risked being completely pushed out of the Chinese market. To prevent that, European companies began to seek new strategies to maintain their market presence. In 2019, in order to hold on to their global share, many European steel firms adopted a low-price strategy aimed directly at China. They targeted third- and fourth-tier cities, where consumers are more price-sensitive, unlike the major cities that value brand and quality. The goal was to sink deeper into the market, stabilizing their share while expanding coverage. Still, they knew price competition alone couldn't sustain them long-term, so they rolled out affordable but feature-rich product lines, combining high quality and low cost to attract Chinese buyers. At the same time, Europe offered research and development subsidies, tax incentives, and other support policies, lowering companies' operational costs and giving them more flexibility. This approach worked. Data shows that European stainless steel products were sold in China at about 35% lower prices than local products. As a result, their market share doubled from 12% to 23%, while the profit margins of Chinese companies shrank by more than 5 percentage points. Many smaller domestic producers couldn't handle the pressure and had to exit the market. Seeing Europe's success, South Korea quickly jumped in. Korean steelmakers also began dumping low-price products into China, focusing on low-end stainless steel, which further squeezed small and mid-sized Chinese manufacturers. Soon after, Japan and India followed the same path, intensifying the price war. But what they didn't expect was that China would eventually strike back hard. After extensive investigations, Chinese authorities found that many foreign companies had been dumping steel products at unfairly low prices, seriously disrupting domestic competition. So, in July of 2019, China announced anti-dumping tariffs on stainless steel billets and hot-rolled coils from the European Union, Japan, South Korea, and Indonesia. The results were, honestly, pretty striking. European Union companies were hit with 43%, Japan with 29%, South Korea a staggering 103%, and Indonesia 20%. These tariffs would last for 5 years, alongside price commitment policies. Japan, however, refused to accept the decision and escalated the matter to the World Trade Organization. Unsurprisingly, the WTO ruled against China, claiming the measures violated trade rules, but considering that European and American nations dominate the WTO expert panels, the result wasn't exactly shocking. China was at a structural disadvantage. After seeing what looked like Japan's victory, other countries, grew bolder and started flooding China's market with low-priced products once again. They just assumed that China wouldn't be able to fight back in the same way, but, well, they were wrong. This July, China struck again, extending and expanding the anti-dumping duties to 30 countries, including the United Kingdom, South Korea, Indonesia, and all 27 European Union member states, for another 5 years. This time, the European Union and United Kingdom faced a unified 43% tariff, Indonesia 20%, while South Korea was given differentiated rates. So why was that? Well, POSCO, which is South Korea's steel giant, applied for a separate review and was able to prove that its export pricing didn't harm China's domestic market. As a result, POSCO faced only 23.1%, while other Korean firms were hit with the maximum 103.1% tariff. China also stated that any country disagreeing with this decision could seek legal reconsideration or litigation, but emphasized it simply won't compromise on its core interests. So, what will this mean for Europe's industrial chain? Take Germany, for example. It's Europe's largest economy, with an output of about $4.7 trillion in 2024. Its manufacturing backbone really depends on steel and stainless steel production. In November 2023 alone, Germany produced about 2.9 million tons, which is up 8.6% year-on-year, and much of that was exported globally. China imported around 120,000 tons of German stainless steel that year, worth over $600 million. If China maintains these tariffs, Germany's export losses could, exceed 25% in the coming years. France will also take a major hit. In 2024, it shipped 50,000 tons of stainless steel to China, worth over $60 million. If these are deemed as dumped products, they could face up to 43% tariffs, which would honestly, severely cut profit margins. Now, why did South Korea face such a punishing 103.1% rate? Despite its small size, South Korea ranks as the world's 5th largest steel producer, supporting major industries like shipbuilding and automotive. POSCO alone produces over 26 million tons annually, exporting to more than 60 countries. But as China's own production capacity and quality have improved, especially in cast steel, alloy plates, and high-strength metals, Korean and Japanese steelmakers began losing ground in both quality and price. Data reveals that since mid-2022, South Korea's steel exports have been steadily declining, with September 2022 seeing a 21.2% year-on-year drop. And to make matters worse, U.S. tariffs imposed by the Trump administration, a 25% tax on steel and aluminum, dealt another blow. By March 2023, South Korea's steel exports to the United States had fallen by 18.9% in value and 14.9% in volume. Now, with China also imposing over 100% tariffs, Korean companies are practically shut out of one of their largest markets. To put it simply, if a South Korean exporter once sold a ton of stainless steel to China for 15,000 yuan, it now faces an additional tax of the same amount, wiping out nearly all profit. Even if China adjusts its tariffs in the future, South Korea's steel industry may never regain its former dominance. So, stay tuned for more updates on this rapidly evolving trade battle. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications. We'll continue bringing you deeper insights into Asia's most powerful economic moves.